Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us this Friday for our regularly scheduled Maker Mania program. I'm really excited today. Today, I'll be introducing a video from Dr. Kelly Galhoff. Dr. Kelly is one of our awesome makers here in Pueblo. She's got her fingers in lots of pies. Works with IFIS and Susan. She works on the Pueblo Food Project. She does, of course, sorts of awesome things that I'm sure she's about to tell you about. And today she has a video on how to compost in your own kitchen. So I'm really excited to debut her first video here with us. So without any other interruptions and or introductions, let me go ahead and cue up that video from Dr. Kelly and we can learn about how to minimize our waste and grow our gardens well at the same time. So let me get that video going for you. Hold on one sec, okay guys?
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Kelly with Perpetual Harvest, a local sustainability consulting company where we teach people how to grow a future worth living. And one of my favorite topics to teach people about is vertical indoor farming. But today we're going to allow nature to be our guide as I teach you a simple process about how to create your own compost bin at home. And this is a STEM-based lesson, meaning we're going to talk about science, technology, engineering, and math along the way. How many of you already knew what compost was? Compost is a special process of turning food waste into dark gold. As you can see in this picture here on the right, healthy soil is dark and rich, and it has a deep aroma to it. You can smell it. And a lot of that is because of the microbes in the soil or the microorganisms that are so tiny that we can't even see them with our naked eye. But they do this magical process called aerobic digestion, where they're turning death into life, where we can't see it underground. And it's a special mix of soil, food scraps, and biomass that can make some of the best compost that turns into this dark soil. So you can see our picture of our family garden here this time of year is kind of a sad sight because all the plant matter is dead. All our tomatoes and squashes and peppers, everything is just a stalk that's dried out. But that biomass could become part of our compost pile, as well as the root matter underneath the soil. And we want to make room to tend and amend that soil so we can add nutrients for next year. That way, our environment is as ready as possible to have our new garden thriving. And this time of year around Thanksgiving, it's a really good time to think about food waste and where does all of it go? In America, we waste up to 40% of all food that's served. Can you believe that? That's one of the highest rates in the whole world of all the countries. So, what can we do to shift our cultural habits so that we can divert some of that food waste from the landfill into compost piles? And if we don't have our own backyard, what can we do within our communities and neighborhoods to share spaces so that we have a chance to turn our food waste into that dark gold? Composting is a way to turn rotting fresh food into healthier soil. And it's also an interesting way for us to observe, like a science experiment, how food rots. Look at these bell peppers. They're really getting wrinkly. So when we forget to eat our food on time, we watch it start to decay in our refrigerator or on the counter. We might even have to start dealing with pests like flies. And so compost is something that needs to be taken out on a daily basis to somewhere not in your house. And you can also see we could use everything from the stalks and the stems to the parts that are bruised or the skins. There's a lot of different parts of plants that can become compost from the kitchen to the garden and close the loop and really help the earth. So our family chose to do this project about building a compost bin together. And I do have 4 young children, ages 4, 7, 9, and 12. And we all got together and gathered our materials around the house that we had, so we didn't have to go to the store or really purchase or buy anything. We had 3 wooden pallets to upcycle, an old garden hose and some shears to cut it with, 8 to 10 plastic zip ties, shovels and a garden hoe, wheelbarrow and dirt from around the yard, food scraps that we've been collecting all year. You can see here in our large pile, we've been turning it fairly often with the shovels and mixing in some regular dirt. And then biomass from all the dead weeds and different plants from around the yard that have been dead since winter. And last but not least, the human power to make this happen. And it was a step-by-step process. You can see Dad here helping us design it against the wall, and that we're looking at all of these types of learning within STEAM, science, for how we're going to use nature and kind of contain it in a way that helps us reduce pests, because we noticed that we have been feeding a lot of the local squirrels and birds in our open compost pile. And so now hopefully having a container like this will keep them out of it. But if we had more time or more money to invest in the project, then maybe we would do something like this blue picture here. It's a compost tumbler, where instead of having to use the shovel to turn it, you can rotate it and it will spin for you and increase the aeration process and the rate of decay. Or like this fancy one, we could add a lid to it and make it a closed box. So of course, we could also add some art for fun later and decorate it or paint it. And then for math, we kind of had to wing it this time. Luckily, all our palettes were the same size and there wasn't anything complicated about how to piece it together. But we do want to have a good ratio of carbon and nitrogen when we're creating compost. And that means we needed to add layers of different shapes and textures of natural products, from the food waste to some sheep manure and hay and straw, and then natural dirt from our backyard as well. And so we took time to scoop and dump with the wheelbarrow a few layers into the compost bin, and then we closed it up and continued to fill it with these different kinds of media. So we used the zip ties and the garden hose to close it, as well as inserting different plastic and metal tubing with some holes in it to increase the aeration and airflow underground. That way the microbes had even more to work with for their digestion process. So the decomposing food was now taken from a loose scrap pile in our yard into this great container. That way it would do its job without nature getting in the way, like I said, with the rodents and pests and things. So we added our layers, moving the dirt and the biomass. It took just a couple of hours when we all put our energy together, and we didn't need any power tools or any budget or anything. I just want to encourage everyone that this is very possible to get the dead plant matter out of your yard and to turn it into something valuable that could help you next year with growing your own food. So involving friends and family is always a good call. We invited some people to help us on this special day of DIY hobby fun. And all we had to do was look around and use what we had, some upcycled materials, some food waste and scraps that you can learn to take out of your kitchen day by day and then dirt for the garden and some basic yard tools. I think that this is a really fun project and that anyone of any age could enjoy doing it together. So if you don't know how, there's other people you can reach out to for help, like the CSU Master Gardeners with CSU Extension Office or All Pueblo Grows. Or I also got help with my family garden from We Are Farmily and the I Will projects and IFIZ, the Indoor Farming Innovation Zone. So there's a lot of groups in town that are trying to help people learn how to grow their own food and to be resilient, especially in face of COVID and the quarantine. But we all have ability to make a difference for our planet, and growing our own food and keeping food waste out of the landfill is one of the
That was abrupt. Well, I hope that your program was finished. Dr. Kelly, I'm so sorry if I cut off a little bit there. I don't know what happened. The tab just closed. Oops. I just wanted to let you know that Dr. Kelly is definitely one of the reasons I grew a garden this year. That and that I was home because of COVID. But it went beautifully, and I was thrilled because I was able to grow lots and lots of tomatoes and squashes and peppers this year. So I think that I'll be doing a weekend project myself and maybe building myself a compost heap so that my garden's even better next year. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning into our video today. We'll have more next week. Everybody's favorite guy, Jeremy, will be back teaching us how to do marshmallow launchers. Just wanted to put it out there. It looks like there's two programs for Maker Mania next week. I'm going to be removing the paper airplane one because it's not actually happening. We're doing marshmallow launchers instead. So there's no registration for a kit next week. It'll just be materials that you can find around your house because we'd like you guys to stay in and stay safe to stop the spread of COVID-19. So we don't have a kit to pick up that next week. But stay tuned. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming up this month. So hopefully I'll get to see you again next week. Tune in. But until I get to see you again in person, stay safe, please stay healthy, and please keep making. Have a great evening, guys. Bye.